we have a special guest. As you know, as you probably know, there's a special city council meeting, city council election underway right now to fill the single member District 5 seat. And with me today is one of the candidates, John Austin Stokes, is running for city council. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Glad that you're here, and we can talk about this race as well. A lot of the focus seems to be on the March 1st, the Republican primary, but the city has to fill that slot. There are some laws and regulations that say they have to have this election on January 29th, and
yes, sir.
There's you and a couple of other folks running. So, John Austin Stokes, let's talk about who you are.
Okay.
Let's talk about education, family, and experience.
Yeah, I'd be glad to. So, John Austin Stokes, I grew up in Ozona, Texas. I feel like I'm from San Angelo because from Ozona and any of these surrounding towns, you wind up in San Angelo to go to the grocery store, or go watch a movie, or go to the mall or anything else.
All right.
2 weeks after I graduated high school, I took a job as a Senate messenger in Austin and worked there that summer in Austin. Then went to Texas Tech, have an undergraduate degree in political science.
Okay.
Went back, tried to get a job in Austin. Day worked a little bit in Ozona. Ultimately decided to go back to grad school, and I have a master's in public administration. Moved back to Austin and was doing an internship for Dr. Dan Stoltz, who was the longtime CEO of Shannon at the Texas Hospital Association.
Okay.
Found out my brother had recently moved back and found out that Senator Duncan, the state senator from Lubbock, was hiring a district director here. And so we jumped at the opportunity to come back to San Angelo. That was 2009.
Okay, I was trying to think back, yeah.
Yes, sir. And then he, of course, went on to become chancellor of Texas Tech. Mm-hmm. And I had worked very closely with all the rural county judges that make up the Concho Valley Council of Governments board.
Yeah.
And they approached me and asked me if I would apply to be the executive director, take Jeffrey Sutton's spot at the Council of Governments in 2013. And I did that. And for the first 2 years, kind of wondered what the heck I had got myself into. But it's just truly been a pleasure. And over the years, it's grown. And now we have over 300 employees and manage a multi-million-dollar budget. And just got into a new facility. And we just have too much fun over there. And as far as family goes, I've got two little girls, 9-year-old Hedda and a 6-year-old Grace. I could be more proud of them.
Very good.
When I came to San Angelo, there may have been some thoughts about going back to Austin, and as more time passes, I mean, this is absolutely my home, and
great.
Intend to stay here and serve it as long as I possibly can.
Wonderful. And I met you while you were when you were first working with Senator Duncan.
Yes, sir.
Who is the predecessor for our Charles Perry now.
Yes, sir.
And so you have some a background in politics that goes back a bit.
I do.
And the Council of Governments, the Concho Valley Council of Governments is a sort of a regional entity. What does the Council of Governments do for Tom Green and the surrounding counties?
So it's 53 years old exactly.
Okay.
And the original purpose was just basically to be a planning commission. And it's all about economies of scale and building efficiencies across counties. And some of these rural counties don't have access to some of the things that, say, Tom Green County does. Mm-hmm. But if you pull your resources, suddenly you do.
Okay.
And then over the years, we've accumulated more and more grant programs like transit. So a lot of people still refer to transit as transit, but that actually is no longer the case. It's one big entity, and it's Concho Valley Transit District, and we operate both the rural and the urban transit in a 14-county area.
Okay. Yeah, the San Angelo used to have its own transportation hub, its own bus system, and the surrounding counties in Tom Green County shared a transit, the rural bus system, the Thunderbird system.
Yes,
that's
sir.
right. And now that's all combined with the great facility downtown.
Yes.
And you all fund it, and the people that work for there are employees of the COG.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly right.
Okay. Great. So that's who you are and what you do. The city council has a vacant seat because Lane Carter decided to run for county judge.
Right.
And this the time constraints here are unbelievable for a political campaign. I don't envy any of you, but you have jumped in. Let's talk about single member District 5, and then we'll go into what a discussion about what issues are facing the city.
Sure. So single member District 5, of course, is Santa Rita and College Hills.
Okay.
Not to pick on anybody, but I think there's a contingent of folks who think it's only Santa Rita, but my College Hills
Gotcha.
friends would disagree. I live right in the middle. I live on Johnson Street, right by Brown Park, and have been in the neighborhood since I've lived in San Angelo.
Okay.
And frankly, it's one of the reasons that we love it so much. I've got my kids have friends within a stone's throw away.
Yeah.
They can get on their bikes, and I don't have to worry about safety and go see their buddies. And my friends are just around the corner as well. And you just don't get that in a place like Austin, it's absolutely the closest thing that I've found to growing up in a small town. However, I'm still within 10 minutes of a great job that I love, that provides for me and my family, and that's able to make a difference. And so, because of all those reasons, I'm pretty invested in the neighborhood and single member District 5, and just want to be able to serve that entire district.
Okay, great. Now the city council is in pretty good shape now. This is a special election to fill the remainder of this term. What are some of the issues facing the city of San Angelo particularly that you'd be dealing with?
So the low-hanging fruit, the easy ones are infrastructure, of course. Roads are always a concern. We need to put more money into roads. Water infrastructure is huge. We live in the desert, and so I appreciate things that our predecessors have done to ensure that we've got adequate water resources for the foreseeable future.
Okay.
Public safety is a big one. And then lastly, but probably most important to me, because it's kind of the field that I work in most, is economic development.
Okay.
And making sure that we're making San Angelo as business friendly as possible so that small businesses can continue to thrive, or we can make it easier on their lives.
Okay.
And then additionally, that we can attract industry. A lot of people like to point out the fact that our tax rate at the city of San Angelo is 77 cents per $100 valuation. Part of the reason for that is we don't have a lot of industry in San Angelo, and so that gets pushed down on the homeowners.
Yeah. We were at the candidate forum last night, and they were talking about economic development as well. The city and the Council of Governments play actually a larger role than the county does, because the business of the county is not economic development.
Right.
But that is what the city focuses on with an economic development corporation.
Sure.
And there are some things coming in the future, a couple of interstates.
Sure, absolutely.
So let's talk about economic development here.
Yeah, so thank you for bringing up the interstates. I mean, conceivably in the next 25 years, we could be sitting at the intersection of I-27 and I-14.
Right.
Which even 10 years ago, I-27 was in the works, but we thought it was, kind of a pipe dream.
Yeah.
Right. And now there's real money being poured into it, and we need to be prepared for when that happens. And all the things that'll come with it, because with that there'll be more people, there will be more industry, there'll be more crime, and so how do we ramp up services so that we're ready when that happens and we're not caught backpedaling?
Okay.
And then in addition to that, you mentioned that the COG is involved in economic development. We do have an economic development district, and we essentially are the arm of the Economic Development Administration at the federal government. And so
Okay.
We have administered a lot of grants for facilities and the industrial park and things that people are familiar with over the years. And some of it predates me, but the industrial park was built with EDA funds. And now you look out there, you drive out there, it's completely full.
It is, and it's sat vacant for a long time.
It did. And the West Texas Training Center is a project of ours. We assisted the city with the fire training center.
Okay.
We're currently working with Angelo State. They've got a commercial pilots program through their business school, and we're going to try and hopefully find them some money to build some classroom space out at the airport. And I just think that there's a lot of opportunities like that if we can just all work together and build coalitions. And I think that there's downtown. All my friends that live in Lubbock and Midland are envious of what San Angelo's downtown is like, and it's great. But I think that there's still, a big hotel project down there, or something along those lines would be just absolutely game changing, and
Yeah.
look forward to being able to kind of bring my knowledge from the economic development work I've done at the COG to the city level, so that we can maybe increase that tax base.
There we go. And that's the name of the game is to share the burden
Sure,
of the cost of running government.
sure.
So that's what economic development drives development. This is the point where I'll back away from the microphone, and this is an election.
Sure.
And it's all about who gets the most votes.
Sure.
So you can look into that camera, and it's you and the voters. Our audience is somewhere around 62,000 people. So
Excellent.
you may not have a larger audience of the folks who get to vote in your election. So
Yes,
this is you and them. What is your message, John Austin Stokes, to the voter? And take as long as you want.
Okay. So first of all, thank you for the opportunity. As you said, that the race is incredibly truncated. So, and half of it was during the holidays, where nobody wants you knocking on their door. And so, if I haven't gotten to you yet, we're coming. I've got the support of the San Angelo firefighters, and we're going to be out this weekend walking.
Okay.
And looking forward to meeting with people face to face. One of the things I learned during the COVID pandemic is nothing really replicates face-to-face interaction. As hard as we try, it's great. Facebook's great. I love keeping up with my buddies on Facebook. But nothing beats, being able to sit down and have a one-on-one conversation, and being able to, read people, and get some feedback on what you're saying. And so I look forward to doing all that, and hopefully can cover a lot of ground in the next couple of weeks, because it's coming up. As you said, early voting's over on the 25th.
25th, okay.
And then the election's on the 29th. But what I would say to the voters is, I believe what sets me apart from my opponents, and it's a good slate. There's some incredibly smart people. I think what sets me apart is my history of change and influence at not only the COG, but also on the various boards I've served on. I've been on the Chamber of Commerce. I've served as the United Way chairman, and we had to make some staffing changes there, and that was not comfortable.
Yeah.
We made some really tough decisions. And then the COG, in addition to providing better services and more efficient services, we've measured employee satisfaction along the way.
Okay.
Just by surveys and, legitimate quantifiable research. Right. And it's just continued to improve. And so I think that not because of me, but mostly because of my team and my ability to surround myself with people that are a lot smarter than me, we've been able to build a culture that's been much more user-friendly. And so that's one of the reasons that I'm running, and I think that sets me apart. I'm able to do that. I have a track record of doing that. But also I'm under no illusions that I can do that in 15 months.
Yeah.
And the wheels of government turn pretty slow. And so I'm committed, if I were to get elected, to staying in here as long as it takes to get the job done, and to working with the folks on processes and things that are within our wheelhouse. And then in addition to that, just continuing to work on these big economic development projects. And I think those traits and that particular skill set is valuable, or at least I hope it is. And I hope people will believe in me and trust in me, and that I could have their vote, that they would agree with that.
Very good. And John, how can they get hold of you?
So anyone can call me on my cell phone, and I on my business card, when I very first started at COG, I put my cell phone number on that card. And it's you have to forgive me, I'm a Texas Tech guy, so it's still a love number, but it's 806-632-7213. And then also, if you have questions about signs or political messaging, or want to get in touch with us, there's a website, johnaustinstokes.com.
Okay.
We've got a Facebook page, and we've been trying to stay very responsive when it comes to that. But ultimately, I hope to meet folks more than anything else, and so be looking for us over the weekend.
Walking the streets and knocking on doors.
Yes, sir.
All right. John Austin Stokes, thanks for coming by. It's been a pleasure. The election is the 29th.
Yes, sir.
Of this month. It's coming up real quick.
Real quick.
All right. From the live desk on behalf of Angelo Live, John Austin Stokes, I'm Yantis Green.